Hello, I'm with Steve Horton today from i61 Church, and they specialise in down-to-earth spirituality. Hello, Steve.
Hi Tim, thanks for asking me in today.
No problem. I wonder if you can outline what down-to-earth spirituality is for us.
Yeah, for me, when we started the church, it was always to be, if somebody walks in who doesn't do church, they would understand what we're doing from day one, so they'd understand every word, everything in context, and sort of, it's a nice, easy way to connect in.
Brilliant. Now, I've got you here to talk about a ridiculously fun and exciting thing that you guys have just done, the £10 challenge. Tell us, in a nutshell, what is the £10 challenge?
Yeah, in a nutshell, the £10 challenge is we give you a £10 note and we give you 8 weeks to go and grow it. It's rather biblical, a bit like the parable of the talents, but inspires people to see what they can do with it.
That's brilliant. I'll tell you what. Look, give us a top sheet. How much did you give away, and how much did you come back with after the 2 months?
The first year we did it, we gave away £1,200, and we came back with just over 10,000. And in the second year, we gave away about £1,500, and we came back with 12,500.
That is brilliant, Steve. Very well done.
It's been quite a run, and it's amazing to see how people get motivated and inspired with something as simple as a £10 note.
That's fantastic. Well, so while we talk about that, why don't you give us a little bit, some of the ideas? What have people been doing with their £10 notes?
Honestly, anything you can think of. People love to buy ingredients, bake cakes. One of my favourites is buy a bucket, sponge, and washing up liquid. Go and wash some cars. And we had one guy in the first year who, this is one of the bigger stories. He started washing cars, did that for a month, made £200, bought a second-hand car, did it up with the £200 he had, sold it for £700.
That's fantastic. So you give all the money you bring back away to groups and charities, that's right?
Yeah, we decided at the very beginning, because it was really what the church was going to give away anyway in the way of a tithe of what comes into the church. So we said, look, how can we actually use this to the best effect? So we said, right, let's take the money we give, and instead of just giving it to one charity, let's see if we can increase it and give it to more. And of course, like I say, we gave away just over £1,000, and we're able to give 10 charities £1,000 each, rather than one charity £1,000.
That's fantastic. I know the 10 charities were all very, very grateful.
Oh, they were excited. Oh, really? And, to be honest with you, we had a lot of tears the very first time around, because people had no expectation of it at all.
How do you pick which charities to give to? Because there's lots of good causes.
Oh, massive amount of good causes. But we started on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and asked people to nominate something they wanted. I also went and talked to some of our local councillors and dignitaries and said, what's your favourite charity? Or have you got a project you can nominate that you know is going on in the community now that needs some funding? So we were always looking for really smaller projects, smaller charities that it would make a massive difference to, rather than something go into a massive pot and it really was a sort of a splash in the ocean. So we started with nominations. We chose 7 from the nominations we had, but then we chose a further 10, which we put to a public vote on Facebook. That was well received, I must say.
Mm-hmm. And out of those 10, you ended with 3 more?
We did. Out of the 10 that went to the vote, 3 were chosen, which were the top 3 at the end of the public vote. Halfway through the challenge at the end of October, we then add 3 in, which was great. The first year we had 700 and something votes. The second year we had over 3,000 public votes.
That's brilliant.
And that really engaged people in what the £10 challenge was about, and was really starting to grow.
Brilliant. I'm curious, you've picked community groups that don't necessarily have a church or a Christian connection. Why is that?
Well, some Christian charities were nominated, and we talked to them. Really, we were trying to utilise the £10 challenge to connect with our community.
Brilliant.
So we didn't want them to feel we were trying to raise money for ourselves. So we didn't allow anything from within our church to benefit from it. We gave away 100% of what came in. But then there were some Christian charities locally, which we did look at, and we actually did. So they were nominated, and some of them even went to the public vote. But we didn't say no, but we found that the public vote was really to connect with smaller community projects and groups. We had things like the Brownies, the Cubs, trying to regenerate the local play area, that type of thing. That was really well received, I must say.
Fantastic. And as a result, have you been reasonably well connected up with these guys since?
Massively so. I mean, we've made so many connections with local PCSOs, local constables, police inspectors, councillors, the mayor. All these people got themselves involved, even some of the MPs and stuff. So yes, it took us from a place of really low-key connection to a very high-profile connection very quickly.
Fantastic. Steve, I wonder if you can give us a couple of your favourite highlights from this year's £10 challenge.
You can't help but like the big finish. We do a big sort of meeting where we invite everybody to come and bring their money. At the beginning of the meeting, they put it all into one pot. It goes off to be counted by our finance team. And by the end of the meeting, that's only an hour and a bit later, we come back with a final total. So there's the old drum roll and announce it. And then we present the cheque. So that's quite an emotional time. So that's a highlight for me. But I mean, other than that, actually going and seeing what some of the local community were doing to raise funds. So for example, I went to see the Brownies in the junction there, and they were utilising 3 or 4 different ideas to actually increase the funding they had. The leaders came in and took £10 each. They had £30. So they started with 30 and came back with 532 quid. And they'd done that by doing raffles. Then they gave them Smartie tubes and said, eat the Smarties, but fill them with 20p pieces. And then they finished off by actually doing bagpacking, by buying buckets and stuff like that and going in and do bagpacking in Iceland. So meeting the groups was also a highlight, and they were just one. I could go on about a lot of groups I met.
Steve, a lot of people listening to this might be thinking, I could do something like that. I could, maybe not on the same scale, maybe take some of the principles of what this is, the idea of giving something small and making it bigger. But I'm not sure how I can sell it to my group or my church. I'm not sure how I can get people to part with their original money or make the connections. Any tips from a guy who's done this a couple of times now and done it successfully for what these people could do to make it a reality?
Yeah, I think if your church gives away anyway, which I think most churches do. I don't think churches sort of keep all the finances that come into themselves. So I think if you're going to give anyway, say, well, look, let's take a chance, because there is a chance element to it. Will people come and actually take the tenner and just spend it at McDonald's? And I think the answer to that is yes, they will. But not many, because people are inherently good. And when you give them a project which actually sees that benefiting their community and their friends and their children, we had a lot of children groups involved, like the football teams and stuff, and we went and talked to them and said, come and take a tenner. So it gets them into church, which sort of examples what we're doing and trying to do with down-to-earth spirituality. And then it connects them with all of the church and outside of the church. Yeah. So I think if your church is bold enough to say, let's give away £1,000, or if your church is not very big, we can only give away 500, announce up front, we're going to give away 50 £10 notes. So you can set a limit. We do. We say, look, we're going to give away up to, and we set a limit of how much we'll give on that day. So you can set your own limit, even if it's only £200, and say, but we want to increase that for the benefit of our community. And then go and talk to your local press. That's what I did. I went to the local press, said, look, this is what we're going to do. Can you tell me who to connect with? And they actually guided me to what they felt were the most proactive counsellors in the community. And then we got stories in the newspaper. And for the first year, occasional stories. This year, we ran in the local newspaper for 11 weeks running. Every week there was a story in the paper about what people were doing for the £10 challenge. So again, that connected with our community. So I'd say take the risk. And risk an amount of money. And if you don't come back with the £200, because I held a tenner up in front of people and said, here's a tenner, can you double it? You know, you don't set them a target of £700 each. You say, can you double this? Because that could mean maybe at least a warm coat for somebody this winter who would otherwise go cold, or whatever. And you can think of what you could do with another £10 note.
Fantastic. Take the risk. That's brilliant.
Take the risk.
Brilliant. Steve, that's a great place to finish. Thank you very, very much for joining me and encouraging us, and really well done with a terrific, successful £10 challenge.
You too, Tim. Your guys did your part, and they did an amazing job in what they were doing. So good on them.
Great. Thank you, mate.
God bless.
Yeah, and you.